Hello, good afternoon. I'm Emily Herrera. I define myself as an hybrid QA, which is like a QA capybara. I get along well with crocodiles, but also with dogs in the grass. I can be in the water and I can be in the grass resting. So this hybrid thing is that I became QA automation, but I come from a QA manual background. And I want to tell you, in my own experience, how to become a magician from being a muggle. You're familiar with Harry Potter slang? Do you like Harry Potter? If not, in Harry Potter slang, a muggle, it's a person who doesn't have any kind of magic, which is many of us when we don't code, when we don't use any programming language, or even many of our users, they don't program, they use our our apps, they see things that happen there, but they don't know how does it works in the background. So I was in that point a couple of years ago, and I decided that I wanted to be a magician. I wanted to make magic happen. But how did I arrive there? Because in the beginning, I don't know if there are many manual QAs here, or many people who come from a manual QA background. Okay, we are many, great. So many of us, well, I don't know, in my case especially, but also many of my friends' story, we in the beginning start hearing big words like Selenium, APM, API testing, many words that are all around, but you don't know where to start. You don't know how to get in. You don't know how to start programming. And also you are afraid of it. You are like, okay, if I touch this code, I will break everything and everything is going to be a mess. No. First error, don't think like that. We have tons of QA environments where we can test, we can touch the code, we can try our best. But in my own experience, the best part of it, when you don't have any automation QA body around that can help you, your best friends are your own developer mates. That backend engineer, that app engineer, because they are the first to know what they are developing. And they are the first to know how to get into their work first. And then the other thing is like not to get attached to the big words and start experimenting, lose the fear, get into your metadata, get into the code, ask a lot of things, and well, I can tell you a lot of my experience on becoming a QA engineer, a QA automation, but in general it's that. And how it helped me, because I am here telling you, okay, start automating. Why? Because in the past, I had to perform a lot of manual testing. I didn't have the time to handle my new features as they needed to be handled. Like dedicate 3-4 days for making a whole exploratory test to know very well how my new development or my new API or my new frontend was done and tested properly, because I have to spend a lot of time performing manual testing. So when I started having a pipeline that automatically test my code, I had a lot of time to invest in another things that we, the QAs, can provide. So I encourage you to lose your fear and see the magic. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Emily. Thank you. Thank you. Do we have Rodrigo Martin? All right, excellent.
Thank you. Well, hello everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. This is my very first Selenium Conference, and it's amazing. I will for sure come back again or go anywhere where it's happening. Hopefully it's here. It's really, really nice. I wanted to talk to you about observability in testing. We heard a lot of presentations today around observability, and I would like to share some uses that you can have on observability in the sense of empowering teams to make decisions, right? Inform on data. For instance, one particular use case that we are doing in our company is that we are tracking test coverage for all teams, right? And we have this hard rule of 70% of code coverage, etc., which I'm not like a super fan of, but I like this idea of everyone making their code coverage visible, their test coverage visible. And for me, it's more not around the number, but basically, do you have 0% or do you have more than 50? Then this can start the conversation with teams, in particular for leaders. Also, another really nice use of observability in testing is if you track your test duration, for instance, and the browsers where you are running your tests. There was a fun story when we ran our test on staging, and it was super slow. Staging was super slow executing end-to-end tests, while locally it wasn't the case. So we assume that it's something with the machines on the CI, right? So having this data on the duration, we kind of understood that the instances that we were using, the AWS instances that we were using to run our tests, were outdated, like C5 machines or something like that. And we had the chance to actually upgrade to C7 type machines that have better CPU and better memory, execute again the test, and have all the information of the duration right there, comparing these two instances. And we achieve a 30% improvement in our test execution duration with the same cost, right? Because C5 is a really old CPU, C7 is kind of new, but they cost the same in AWS. And the other use case that we found really useful is you can also log your test outcome. That is, if your test pass, if your test fails, and if your tests are flaky, right? And if you have that information, you can kind of have a dashboard of flakiness. And one really fun stuff that happened at my company was that everyone was complaining, like, yeah, my tests are super flaky, I hate this, and whatnot. But it was more like a feeling, not a data-driven thing, right? So when we had this data in front of everyone, actually we found out that 1% of the executions were flaky in some browsers, and in some other browsers were around like 0.5%. So basically, we learned that sometimes you think that something is super flaky, but it's not. It's actually, you find out that it's flaky when it hurts you the most, right? This also helped us understand that we had some issues with particular browser versions, and we tend to use the browsers that are less flaky and whatnot. Oh, I have 1 more minute. So I can tell you another thing that was interesting, and it was around cross-browser testing. Basically, we run in our CI playwright tests with Chrome only. We have the chance to do it with Firefox and WebKit, etc. But we found that both Firefox and especially WebKit was really flaky for us in CI. And I said, like, we really need to invest in cross-browsing. Like, let's do the real cross-browsing, because WebKit is not like Safari, I think, like in the presentation that we have today. And I started digging around, and I found that we don't have a lot of incidents that are cross-browser related. Incidents related to that, right? Or even reports of cross-browsing situations, right? So in a sense, it was hard for me to say, hey, let's invest in this, because basically we don't have that sort of situation. Probably because our framework that we use has polyfills, and the browser started to react better with those things. But all in all, use that data because it's really important to make informed decisions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, is Daniel Huynh in the office? Office, I said office. Welcome. Run, you got 5 minutes. On deck are Srini and Sai. It's requesting an HDMI to USB-C. I'm betting that we won't find one in time.
Someone has? Yeah.
Run up.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
They said it might take as much as a minute for that connection to be made, so fingers crossed.
Can people see my screen? No.
It's going to take a second to update.
Yeah. So, yeah.
There we go.
Okay.
A lot of screenshots there, Dan.
How do I? Yeah. How do I switch again? Yeah. I displays. Screen. Sorry. Screens.
What are you going to tell us about? Come on F12. Come on F1. There we go.
Okay. So look at it. Yeah. Thanks a lot. So hi everyone. I am Daniel Wynn. Sorry for the delay. I'll try to be quick. So I am an AI engineer, and I've liked to use Selenium, but more for automating tasks. And recently, I got more to use Selenium for testing. And I'm going to present you something that I've been working on how AI agents can truly help provide value and complete the work that QA engineers can do. And one of the things I'm working on is how we can use AI so that we can take some flows that we know are easy to automate but are tedious and use an AI agent to do it for us and put a recorder on it so that we can get test scripts. So here, for example, I provided a user story in a very functional way, more on the what than the how. I don't say, for instance, click on. I just provide a user story. And the idea is you can also provide parameters, just like you would to do different kind of scenarios. Also, you can express acceptance criteria in a high level and parameterize it as well. And you can have an AI agent perform this for you, where we have a browser that is going to be live and user story, and the agent will progressively do it for you. I'm going to show you directly what happened at the end, even though I think you can see what will happen live if it's not crashing. But here you can see on the right that just like a human, that a manual QA that would receive a browser, a start URL, and a user story, the agent thinks about what it has to do to try to perform it. And based on this, it will perform actions. I'm not going to show you the whole thing, but at the end of this, you can review what the agent did, step by step. Just like you would review a recording of what happened, so that you can make sure that the agent did what you wanted it to do. Because we don't want to compromise on the quality. We know that AI agents can make mistakes, so if you don't want to compromise on quality, you still want to be in the loop and review it. But now we change from a paradigm of generating tests to simply reviewing them, and if they're not good enough, adapting them. And so that's in the example, we can see that it did the right scenario, which is to log in, add the product to cart, go to the cart, and finally, generate some assertions. And if you're happy, you can validate that. And this, you can potentially then look at the test script that was generated. And the idea is that you can even look at the assertions so that you are sure that it asserts on the right thing, so that you don't have false positives or false negatives. And if you want, you can push that to your GitHub or so on. This is a very early version that we have been working on for a few months. And the funny thing is, you can even take that and put that, into Cursor. And Cursor is a kind of GitHub Copilot in steroid. And the funny thing is, you can provide to Cursor the kind of generated scripts that I just showed you, that is a bit raw. And you can ask an AI agent here to refactor that test and extract the selectors and put them in the locators folders, put the page methods, the test script in the page methods, and extract the test script. And you can see here, for instance, that if you combine what we have with this AI agent for coding, you can take the raw script that you would get from a recording. Here, the recording is AI generated, and distribute that and maintain an existing framework of tests. And you can review them one by one, because there's a Git diff that shows you what the agent provided you, so you can make sure that you're not missing on quality. So this is something I've been working on. It's been a few months, but I think it's kind of fun. And if you're interested, you can contact me. We are working on sharing that with more people. And the idea is that we want to help people get tested into writing test scripts with AI. And the fun part is you can give an AI, okay, you do the French one, you do the English one, etc. And so you can parallelize the generation of test scripts with that. It's not going to do the whole thing, but I think it would be helpful to take care of the easy stuff and the hard stuff. You can still take the test script, as I showed you, finish it, and you'll be happy, I guess. And so that's something I'm working on. If you're interested, we are happy to talk. It's something new. But yeah, voila.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
All right. All right, Srini and Sai, your turn. Do we have Vaibhav and Gaurav who signed up for something on Gen AI in the SDLC? Haven't heard. Okay, I think, yeah. Srini and Sai, come on up. By the way, if anyone else needs to hook up to HDMI with a converter, please take care of that now before you turn.
Okay, meanwhile, Sai sets it up. So we are here to talk about MCP for mobile. And before we get to the talk, I would like to thank organizers for giving us another opportunity, Diego, Marcus, and everyone behind the scenes. And also would like to thank Dan for pushing us to do a talk on MCP for mobile. And thanks for Angie to inspiring us to do MCP for mobile. In case if you have not checked out, it's all inspired based on MCP for Selenium, which Angie has published a week ago, I think so. Yeah. And I had the similar fiasco of what happened to the speaker before us. Back in 7 years before, I think it was immediately after a keynote of Angie in Selenium Conference. I was super prepared. I had a recording on my laptop. I have pushed it to YouTube. I have a real devices, 2 devices as a backup to show a real video. But I have done everything, but I forgot to charge my laptop. As soon as I opened it, it got shut down. And
that was Srini's
first stage presentation, 7 to 8 years back. And I pulled out my charger and then realized that it needs a universal adapter. I forgot that too. Okay. The reason why I'm talking about it here now again is because that's when I realized the value of having an universal adapter when you travel abroad. And universal adapters are nothing but MCP for LLM models. So it's an open standard created by as a simple project from Anthropic. Although it was there existing few months ago, 4 or 5 months, we all started realizing the value of it pretty recently, and we started building applications using MCP for mobile. MCP as a open standard. So what does MCP mean here is kind of a USB-C port for connecting different LLM models. And it helps us to do an interoperability between models. And let's see a quick demo of MCP for mobile.
I just reminded him it's just 3 more minutes left. He thinks it's a 40-minute talk, so that's a habit. What we have done here is I'm just using Cursor as a client. So I have an Android device here. All that I've said is, open WebDriver IO app and navigate to login screen and use username and password and typically login, right? Behind the scenes, I'm just using some of the tiny modules that we have at Appium. And if people can look at it, it says, get Android devices. So that's another tool that we have pushed out there. Maybe Srini. So it takes a screenshot to know that it has to open the app. It goes back to ADB command again. So behind the scenes, if you see, we have not returned any code saying it has to open WebDriver agent. It's thinking actually. And we have registered certain tools out there. and it opened WebDriver IO. And the next thing is we take screenshots, we take DOM, we take coordinates, it verifies the element is present. So it found the login option, so it's basically going to get the elements for us to click on the login. Yeah. So I'm basically going to run and execute ADB command again to click on it. So it's again, it found where the coordinate is. It's going to type the email address for us. And it is verifying each of these. So basically, I've asked it to log in as well. So it should also click on the login button, knowing where it is. Yeah, so it has entered the password. And the last resort should be clicking on the login button. Oh, it didn't. It didn't. But the instruction was given for it to click on the login button. But if you see the code, we have basically registered it saying, okay, this is a tool. And if you look through here, like Srini said, it is still saying MCP Selenium because we cloned Angie's code and we made changes to it. So it's just 5 hours old code. And that's why it still says helper function and it says no active browser sessions and stuff. So we just changed what is required here. So we have just registered certain tools on getting Android devices, execute ADB commands to take your screenshots and vision-based stuff. And we can do more. We can connect as many tools as possible to this. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Final call for Vaibhav and Gaurav to talk about whatever. Okay, Saujanya, your turn.
Hello everyone, thank you very much for this opportunity. I first want to thank everyone who is contributing for this conference. This has a lot of impact and a lot of learnings that I can use in my work. So I am Saujanya. I am working in Auto1 GmbH as a senior quality assurance engineer. So what I want to talk here is an idea that we are following in our company that is helping in our daily QA activities. What is the idea? The idea is we had an internal LLM like we had an LLM that we trained on our data so that it can help in every QA activities that we do. What we did is we took an LLM, we trained it with all the data that we need. By all the data that we need, I mean like we have a Confluence pages. We create a Confluence page for every feature, like whichever is new, whatever it has, the new functionalities. Like how we test it, what is the test data for it, what are the impacted functionalities of it, everything we have in Confluence. So we trained it with that data and it became very powerful. So how powerful it is I can quote you some examples. Like, for example, if we have a new member in our team, so he has to go through all the Confluence pages to get all the information. Now what we are doing is, so the new team member can just go to that LLM and ask the questions like, okay, how I do this thing? So it's very simple. It gives you the answer along with the Confluence link from where it got that information. So you can also verify whether that information is correct or not. So that is a very useful thing. So you need not to mug up everything regarding your application. And that's not it. So we actually use a test tracking tool in our company called Shift. So in the Shift, we have everything like test cases and everything what we use for testing. So what we are doing with this LLM and the Shift. So the Shift is integrated with the LLM, like when actually for every feature, we are going to create that feature and also that feature has the product specifications, technical specifications, everything there. So now the LLM that is integrated with the Shift has the product specifications, technical specifications and all the knowledge base that we have in the Confluence page. So it became more powerful, and it will create you the test cases. You can edit it, add any test case that you feel is missed, or you can remove if you think like it's giving you some invalid test case. So it reduces a lot of time that you need to spend for writing the test cases. And that's not it. So it is also going to give you, in the next step, what are the scripts that you can create for this particular feature. So it's going to give you the script and also the code that is related to the script. So you can use it, you can edit whatever you want, and also you can just paste it in your repo. So it's making the life that much easy. So I like this idea very much, so I want to share with you so that you can also use in your daily activities if it is possible. So actually I want to conclude with just 2 important quotes that I feel to say here. One is like, information is wealth. We all know it. And the second thing is, time is much more valuable than money. This idea saves you time. And I hope like this idea helps you all. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Thank you. We're basically ahead of schedule. So I'd like to welcome Marit Puhavi to talk about our... You changed it, all right. You will talk about your own, yeah, great. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Marit. I'm clearly a non-committed person because I changed my mind talking to Marcus on what I should tell you today. A couple of years back, GitHub Copilot was new. It was 1 week old back then, and I went into a job interview. I knew that I was going into an engineering organization where I would be the first woman if I would join. I had already talked with the CEO. I have passed that level of interview. I had a pair programming interview. I had 1 day of GitHub Copilot with me before I went into that interview. I had planned, I had prepared with Roman numerals. I had played with that, all kinds of katas, just, make sure that you're kind of up to date with whatever can come up. And the person I paired with, they made me work on numbers in text, which is almost the same as Roman numerals. But what I learned in the process, of showing off on kind of having an LLM basically generating all of the code for me, I learned that we need to be even more awake in using this. While I could generate the code, I could also learn that some of the solutions that were generated, they would actually include problems that we didn't see by just reviewing it as a pair. Going through the different examples, seeing what values came out of that, definitely gave me many things. But also having that conversation and showing off what we do as testers, what we really do as testers, and what we actually all programmers do now when we're testers, when we use AI, with that intent and knowing that we need to be in control of what we're creating. I learned a few things of Roman numerals. What's Roman numeral for 4? Anyone know? No, it is I. Am I correct? No. I am correct. Take a look at any luxury watches or any clock towers. It is I. That's a Roman numeral for 4. It's a specific domain. What do you see in a tombstone when you want to write Roman numerals 5? What do you expect to see? No, you will see I. 5 I's. 50 is 5 X's. If you go into Excel and you want to figure out what Roman numerals you get for, let's say, 2,999, Excel can provide you that. It has 4 different algorithms of providing you different answers. Roman numerals are not one thing. If you go into a website, which used to be kind of the main reference for Roman numerals, which I was studying while going into this interview, you will learn that, the usual thing where we think Roman numerals are for 1 to 399, there are bigger numbers as well, but you would need to introduce a new font in order to support that. And there's Roman numerals for 0 and fractions as well. So again, when we are using these kind of tools, where we're generating a lot of the code, a lot of the questions on what are our domain rules, which domain rules are we following, what are the boundaries, what are the expected comparison points, all of that comes from us when we are in control of those tools. So for me, the interview ended up with a positive result, as in they did offer me a job, and I said, I don't want to be the first woman and the only tester in that particular organization, but it was also a very lovely experience that I have learned a lot, not only in that moment, but in all of the consecutive years when I've learned even more about Roman numerals than any person in the world should know. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We're actually ending a little bit early. Fantastic. So we have our committers panel starting in, I believe it's 20 minutes. Is that right? Diego? Looked at Diego for everything. Yeah, so I think we've got 20 minutes before that. If anyone wants to do an impromptu lightning talk that isn't a vendor pitch, Christian Broman is nominating himself. Let's come on, give it a hand for the creator of WebDriver IO.
Thank you.
Thunder Talk. Okay, great. No break.
Thank you for giving me the chance. So I did a workshop on 2 days ago, and in there I promised that I would do something with AI, and I thought I would share this here as well. Sorry, it's about AI again. Does this count for the timer, or? Oh, okay.
I think it just takes a second.
Oh, perfect. See, my desktop looks actually pretty fine. Not too shabby, huh? How can I... Does someone knows how I can arrange, like do it duplicated? More motion? Mirror?
Help is coming. By the way, there will be no break before the panel. We're going to go straight into it. So keep your seats right after this.
All right, we have go time. So whatever you see here, you'll find it in the WebDriver workshop. And so I want to show you a little simple example how you can integrate AI into your test framework. I'm choosing WebDriver for that. Where is my, thank you, wait. Workshop presentation, no, that's not it. Workshop here. So, perfect. WebDriver.io has a concept called services, which is essentially a plugin. And my goal is to have a test where I can say, browser, validate me something. In this case, I have a to-do application, and I want to validate if there's 3 to-do added as I did. With AI, it's usually, a lot of application really wrap it nicely, and it feels magic sometimes. But at the end of the day, it's just a text that you send to the LLM, and it returns you an answer to it. So that's basically what we do here too. Come on. Okay, perfect. And I want to show you what kind of text I sent the AI first. So to give the LLM an information about the state of the application, I have to give the AI some information about what is being displayed on the page. So I do this by I build a little script. And just to show you how this could look like, it's essentially, I call it an accessibility tree. It's not really an accessibility tree, but it's like a tree with various information about whether or not an element is accessible, focus, and whatnot. So this can, interestingly, the LLM is very smart about figuring out where the elements are, nested and what attributes they have to reason about the whole application itself. This, of course, becomes problematic if you have a large application like on Amazon, because at some point you cannot send unlimited characters to the LLM. So there, take it with a grain of, with some carefulness here. So if I remove this now and actually run it, so what I'm doing here, I'm just, the service is very easy. I integrated it, like adding it as a service in WebDriver config. I provide an OpenAPI key. And then what the services does, is essentially it just creates an OpenAI client. Before the test starts, I register the scripts into the page. So whenever I open a page, the scripts are initialized, and so I can always access the state of the application. And then once I register a custom command for WebDriver, and once the user calls that command, I'm using the OpenAI interface to parse, to basically send a system message and a user message. The system message basically provides the context. You're a testing expert, you're giving a state of application, blah, 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 and you provide a state to it, and then say, okay, return true if the validation passes, and return false if it's not, and provide me some hint when it's not. And then I'm using a formatted response so I can make some, it's easy for me to use the answer. So if the result fails, I just throw an error and use the hint that the LLM gives me. So if I run this now, then it should pass, hopefully. 3 to-dos, so be smart and pass, wonderful. Let's do the litmus test and say, okay, we have 33 to-dos. Run it again. Now, this should fail, and the LLM should give me like some information about why it fails. Yeah, not 33. So there's a nice error message. So I could also do now like a random, like if I want to validate if it's sunny in California, I can do that too. One second. So if we ask them, hey, verify something that's actually not related to the testing that I do, then it will fail as well, because the context that you provided is not really related to what you're asking the LLM. And lastly, one nice thing about this is as well is like now you can chain the prompt that you do. So you can say, okay, validate that the input, 3 items are shown, the input is valid, the first to-do is to do number 1, to do number 2. So you can have like a kind of like prompt style validation that you can do, validate a lot of things at the same time with one little prompt. There we go. Just to validate, if we say hello, does it fail? It does, and it says validation failed. The second to-do item is actually to-do 2, but the prompt incorrectly states is as to-do hello. So this shows you like there's some things you can do to tangibly actually like enhance your workflow and your test framework with some AI. Be careful though, because you never know what it does in real life. So thank you.